Every studio looked at November and said, nope, not going near that. Welcome back to Tanveer Talks, and today we're going to be talking about the gaming showcase season. That just locked in the rest of 2026. We had 3 shows dropped, back to back, like PlayStation State of Play, the Xbox Gaming Showcase, and the Summer Game Fest. Between the 3 of them, the gaming calendar is basically like fully packed. And here's the thing, that ties all the way together. GDS 6 is dropping on November 19th, and every publisher, Sony, Microsoft, Capcom, Konami, and even Remedy, they all looked at that date and then said, okay, September it is. They don't want to compete with GE at all. Everyone's just moving to September date, right? Like September month is fully like stocked. Every major game is coming in September, right? I'm going to break down all of these, 3 showcases today. The biggest announcements, my personal takes. I don't know what the September calendar actually looks like, right? Okay. Let's start with a State of Play, right? Because, this is where my actually heart is, You can see the PS5 sitting right behind me, right? I'm not actually hiding anything. So I'm a PlayStation guy, so yeah. I might be a little biased, but even putting that aside, Sony did put like a really good show, right? It was a really strong show. And it started off with, Wolverine, because the gameplay reveal was generally impressive, And right away you can, tell, this is not Spider-Man with claws. Right? The tone is completely different. It's darker, it's brutal, The Logan is covered in actual blood, during combat. Like there's even a detail, where the gore washes off when he steps into the water, right? And that's the level of detail, the care like Insomniac is, putting into this, The combat is like selectly built around like raw aggression. No gadgets, no web slinging, right? The techniques like the tornado spin and the bull rush, the rage system that builds as you fight, that was like honestly awesome, right? Like the whole screen goes monochromatic, right? Like the black and white blood comic run, right? And that that was incredible. Like, and the Jean Grey is confirmed as the co-lead, and she's woven into the combat. Telekinesis setting up, combo takedowns, with Logan. It gave me like Spider-Man 2 vibes, right? Like the team up energy in the Spider-Man 2 game, right? And one thing that didn't land well with the, fans was like there's no physical collector's edition, no steelbook, no statue for a game, this hype, like that I honestly felt like a miss. And the release date is September 15. And then the second one, last, game they showed was War Laufey, right? This was the one thing, the showcase, it generally, broke the internet. I mean, in both directions, right? So here's what was announced, right? Like this is the mainline God of War game. It's not a spin-off, not a DLC. And, for the first time ever, you're not even playing as Kratos, right? You're playing as Faye, his late wife. During her journey, through an afterlife realm called Everyone, when she dies. So at the 2018 game, and when it starts off, Kratos is like lighting up the, funeral pyre, Faye's soul was, reconstituting somewhere else basically at that time. And, this transcendent realm where, all the magic begins and ends. She discovers that, that the plans she was laid to protect Kratos and Atreus are now at risk. So basically the whole game is her fighting to, protect her family from the other side while the 2018, events are unfolding. So basically you're all encountering all kinds of gods, like Egyptian deities, right? Sekhmet, Bekze, and the scope is expanding well beyond the 9 realms, and Kratos does appear, but yeah, right? Like, it appears to be a like manifestation. Like he's not physically present. He's there for like 2 seconds and goes away, right? And Cory Barlog actually confirmed, the franchise will always, tell stories about Kratos, right? But this new game is not replacing him. It's just building around his, retroactively, right? Which I think is actually a smart move. And, the gaming community is generally split on this one. Like one side is fully in and bold creative swing. Faye has been, mystery since 2018. Right? The combat, looks incredible. She has this, golden hand ability where she punches a soul clean out of an enemy and uses it as an explosive. Right? Even people who were skeptical admitted that, that looks awesome, right? Wicked, right? And the other side, full knockdown, I want to break this down properly because there are actually 2 different, groups in this negative camp, basically. and they are not the same. The first group has a legitimate, creative concerns. The complaining, Frank the Cube, they don't like him. The quipping, gelatinous creature, voiced by Jack Quaid, and a talking ribbon named Rue. The tone concern is real. Like they don't wanna God of War, identity, to go away, basically. It's gelatinous cube, the cackling jokes feels like, different energy, right? That's a fair critique, right? Like, I'm not dismissing it, basically. And then there's the second group. And this is where, Reddit got, generally, honestly, messy because a very loud portion of the negative reaction wasn't about the Frank the Cube. It was specifically about playing, as a woman. People were in the comment section and, subreddits, generally acting out over like a fictional character in a video game, not being a man. Like, honestly, get a life, man. Not Chris, like, specifically, right? Just a man, any man. Like, the logic being God of War is like a masculine franchise and a female lead doesn't belong to it. Like, I'm gonna be, real with you. Like, that's not a gaming opinion. That's just misogyny, dressed up as one, basically. Right? We're talking about like a fictional character in a fictional realm. Like, the idea that the woman leading, that story somehow ruins the franchise, like, I don't know, man. Like, that's not a take I'm going to entertain it. Like now on the flip side, the support for this, game is like just as loud, basically. Honestly, people probably more thoughtful. Like, people have been invested in Faith since 2018, right? She's literally the reason that entire Norse saga happened, right? The ashes Kratos carried on his skin were like hers, right? The journey to scatter them was hers. Giving her a full game isn't a political statement. It's the natural continuation of a story that was always, about more than just Kratos, right? Personally, I think, Santa Monica Studios, like, is basically making a bold bet. It's like basically a high risk and high reward, right? And the noise online, like, some of it is legitimate, like, creative debate, but some of it is just people taking, a fictional character, like, way too seriously for the wrong reasons, man, right? We won't know if the game actually lands until, like, we're actually in it. But I respect the swing, right? Like, honestly, I'm looking forward to it, basically. And also, we also saw, like, Silent Hill, Townfall, a good atmosphere, but fans were disappointed. It looks like a run and hide stealth game, and, rather than the traditional combat. And then we had Rayman Legends Retold, the hyper-realistic 3D background, actually threw people off. Like, it didn't feel like a Rayman. And then, honestly, PSVR 2 has been, like, absent in all the state of plays in a row. Like, 3 state of plays, like, no VR news. And people who have the headset are, like, completely feeling, like, abandoned for the 400, piece of hardware. And then Naughty Dog's, there's nothing on Intergalactic. Silence is, that's starting to become, like, its own story. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about my grades. Like, my grade for, like, state of play is, like, it's gonna be A-, basically. Like, God of War and, Wolverine alone makes this, like, a strong show. Losing marks for the PSVR 2 Silence and, the collector's edition, with the Wolverine game. So, yeah. And let's talk about Xbox now, right? Like, I'll be upfront. I already told you, right? I'm a PlayStation guy, but I did watch this Xbox, showcase, and I have to give credit, where it's due. Like, this was generally a better show than, what Xbox had put out in the previous years, right? The energy was different. It felt like a team that finally has, games to show, not just announcements and, and vibes. And they opened up strong, like Gears of War E-Day. Like, the centerpiece of the show was like E-Day, right? Like, that earned us a part, right? They went back to the beginning, the origins of Marcus Phoenix and Dom Santiago, right? The first day of the Locust invasion. The tone was brutal, raw, horror energy, felt like the original Gears, that made people fall in love with the franchise back in 2006, right? And then Microsoft does something, that the Xbox fan base needed to hear. Like, this is an Xbox console exclusive, like, not timed, right? But it's exclusive, like, completely. It's not coming to PC, it's not coming to PS5, like. And then there's another exclusive, which is Clockwork Revolution. And, they're trying to decide to, like, they're deciding basically to keep their new titles at home. So, exclusive. But, here's the real story. Like, Xbox finally, feels like it has an identity again. For years, the criticism was, the Xbox was just a Game Pass machine, with no must-have exclusives. Now, this show was like a direct answer to that. You know, Gears, Halo, Senua, Spyro, A Realm Beyond, you know, Fable, State of Decay 3. You know, these are legitimate lyrical, no, for like pipeline now for like through 2027 basically. And they also lead into this 25th anniversary with the Xbox Series X25, translucent green, inspired by the original Duke controller era. You know, that's not just hardware, right? That's identity basically. What do I want to say? Like, but you know, they only had 2 hard exclusives, like, because Halo campaign evolved. The Master Chief remake is officially going to be on PlayStation this July, like 28th, right? And if Master Chief is playable on DualSense, that's a statement whether you want to frame it that way or not. But, you know, and Xbox's answer seems to be like, we are not a walled garden anymore. Look, we are a pipeline across, you know, every screen, basically. Whether that's, you know, enough to hold on to the core Xbox audience is the real question, right? But what I will say this is, like, Sony was, you know, getting comfortable, you know, a little cocky at times, right? And competition forces both sides to level up. And Xbox seems like they're back in. Like, it's gonna be good. It's good for everyone. Like, competition is good for everyone, including PlayStation fans, right? And my grade for Xbox is gonna be a solid B+. You know, better than expected and real step forward. And the exclusive conversation isn't, you know, going away. And the next one was like Summer Game Fest. Honestly, I didn't watch it live. I just read the brief, and, you know, after going through everything, you know, that was shown, like, this was a pretty significant show. A lot of people slept on it. Like, I didn't even know that it was coming, so I got to know a different YouTube channel, right? The biggest announcement of the week arguably came to the end of the show, right? The Square Enix, you know, revealed Final Fantasy VII Revelations, the finale of the remake trilogy, right? The game looks incredible, like full control of the high-wind airship. You know, you can literally jump off and glide down to the surface like Breath of the Wild, you know? That's a massive technical leap, man. Like, but the real news, it wasn't the gameplay, it was the platform list. Day 1 on PS5, Xbox, Switch 2, and PC. Spring 2027. Square Enix is done with exclusivity deals, right? And if Square Enix won't sign an exclusivity deal for the biggest RPG franchise on the planet, who will? Right? And then there was Capcom, you know, that showed Resident Evil Code Veronica Remake. You know, fans have been petitioning for this game for like years upon years, man. Right? First person prologue, clear, and, you know, Chris Redfield, 2027, basically a window. And the fact that Capcom opened with it, you know, tells you that they know what they have, you know. And then we had Virtua Fighter Crossroads, nearly 20 years, you know, since the last mainline entry, being developed by the Yakuza team, the RGG studio. Full narrative camping, more gritty, right? Like more character, and also 2027, right? And then there was a weird one, like Mighty Cuphead Adventure, the Cuphead spin-off programmed in assembly language to run on a, you know, 1985 Sega Master System, and getting a physical cartridge for the original hardware, like. And the retro community is loving it, basically. You know? And the GDS 6 effect is also there, right? Editor, like, GDS 6 is dropping again November 19, 2026, and the entire gaming industry just rearranged its calendar. Like, they're dodging it like it's like some kind of a, you know, natural disaster, right? And one executive, you know, literally described it as a giant meteorite, and, you know, said, we will step out of the blast radius. We will move our dates 3 weeks earlier or later, right? So, like September 2026 actually looks like it looks like. Honestly, like every day there's a new game coming out. Like September 3rd, The Blood of the Dawnwalker. September 15th, Marvel's Wolverine. September 22, Doom Awakening. You know, September 24, Control Resonant, and Silent Hill, Townfall, same day. And then September 25, Onimusha Way of the Sword. Like September 29th, Minecraft Dungeons 2. Like, so you got like Wolverine, Control, Onimusha, all narrative driven by the action game, releasing within 10 days of each other, and all competing for the same $80 in your wallet, man. And some publisher, you know, decided even September was too risky. You know, Microsoft moved Fable to February 2027 and said they wanted to give it the standalone stage it deserves. You know, that is like a direct GDS 6 acknowledgement, whether they use those words or not. Like, here's the irony, like everyone fled in November to avoid getting buried by one game, and then now they actually might bury each other in September because too much competition, and I don't know, I'm not gonna buy all these games, honestly, you know, and the industry traded one giant competitor for a self-made bottleneck. Like, That's the world GTA 6 is creating before it even comes out. One game hasn't even launched yet, and already controlling the entire release calendar for the biggest studios in the world. So, that's the end of it. Like, end of my show. We've broken down all the 3 shows, and one stacked September. November is exclusively reserved for Rockstar right now, right? GTA 6. But there is another competitor, which is like Barbie. I don't know how. Maybe just for the memes, gonna buy the Barbie game. They're thinking, okay, nobody is gonna release anything in November. But I don't know. Maybe Barbie will do GTA numbers. Who knows? We'll see about that, right? And look, like, I'll be honest with you, like, about where I stand. I'm a PlayStation fan, as I said before. Right? PS5 is literally just right behind. And the state of play, it actually hit different for me, basically. Wolverine was exactly the type of games I play. Those are basically my franchises. I'm owning that bias up front. So, but even accounting for that, state of play was actually a strong show. War Laufey is the boldest creative swing in the franchise's history, and I respect it, even with the Frank the Cube discourse. Wolverine looks like, exactly what an M-rated, Insomniac game should be. Like, Xbox came back with the real energy and real pipeline, and then Summer Game Fest quietly, set up 2027 to be absolutely wild. And final grades, right? As I said, Xbox games B+, state of play A-, and both show did what they needed to do, right? If you want more context on the Xbox strategy and how this connects to Asha Sharma era, I broke that down in a detail in a previous episode. Go check that one out, after you watch this. And if you enjoy this episode, leave a like, drop a comment, share it with someone who's trying to keep up the the showcase season, and it helps more than you know. And so this is Tanveer Talks. See you in the next episode. Peace.